Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Kesubos Vav 106. The Gemara discusses today a point that was discussed on daf Kof Hey 105. 105 said that the Dayanim that don cases in Yerushalayim, they would be the official rabbinical court in Yerushalayim. They used to take money mishumas halishka. They couldn't really get paid. That would be a violation of lo siklu shochat, taking bribery. But they did take money Shumas Halishka. What is Shumas Halishka? So everyone's familiar with Machzah Shekel. We know the time of Purim, right? There's a Parsha Shkalim, and it talks about it in the Torah, Parshas Truma Kisisa, about taking Machzah Shekel and giving it to the Mishkan. This is a mitzvah. We learn in Masechah Shkalim in Daf Yomi that it applies. It applies even when the Beis Hamikdash is around, not just in the Mishkan. Everyone in Klal Yisrael has to give a machzah shekel, a half a shekel. It adds up to a lot of money if you have a big nation of Klal Yisrael. What did you use this money for? So the principal thing to use the money for is the korban ola, the tamid that you brought shachris ben arbaim, and it would be used for other things also. The Gemara, and that's one of the things that's on Daf Kof Hey, that they would take their parnasa, the Dayanim would take their parnasa from Shumas Halishka. The Gemara in Daf Kof Vav lists other things that other people that would take payment from Shumas Halishka. It says the people that checked the mumim, the blemishes on the karbanos to make sure they could be offered in the mizbeach, the people that taught hilchos shchita, hilchos kmitza, people that were sofrim, that corrected the problems of the Sifrei Torah in Yerushalayim, not just in the Beis Hamikdash, in Yerushalayim, and also people that used to weave haroches, they used to weave covers for the aronos in Yerushalayim and things like that. Various other causes to take from Shumas Halishka. Now, exactly what is Shumas Halishka? If it was hektish, right, it can only be used for karbonos. How could you use it to pay dayanim, to pay people who are teaching hilchos shchita, hilchos kmitza, right? It's called Shumas Halishka. Was it hektish or not hektish? The ensuing Gemara discusses whether kli shares, right? You use knives to shecht, you can use kalim to makabel the blood, you use various kalim frying to fry the karban menachos, frying pan. So these things, can you take them from Shumas Halishka or even from Kachay Bedek Habayis? That's a question of the Gemara on the bottom of Kuf Vav Aleph, going to the top of Kuf Vav Beis. The Gemara really doesn't decide this, but it seems that the Hachra in the Gemara, the decision in the Gemara, is that you can only take a Shumas Halishka, not Kachay Bedek Habayis. Kachay Bedek Habayis is hektish. That there's two types of hektish. Hektish that you're makdish a korban to Hashem, an animal to Hashem, a neder and a dava, and then there's regular hektish or makdish to the fund of the Beis Hamikdash that was given to Bedek Habayis for the upkeep, the maintenance of the Beis Hamikdash and all its various, rooms and altars and things like that, but not for the actual karbanos themselves. What are the kli shares that were servicing? Was it a service to the mizbeach, which is part of the structure of the Beis Hamikdash, or was it a service to the korban itself? The Gemara seems to indicate that it's a service to the korban, not a service to the structure of the Beis Hamikdash, to the altars, and therefore you can only use it Shumas Halishka and not from Kachay Bedek Habayis. So what is this Shumas Halishka? I mean, it's used for karbanat tamid. That's the principal use of it. Karbanos. So was it hektish, not hektish? So it's interesting. It's called Shumas Halishka. Now I want to compare it to the mitzvah of Truma. We're doing Mishnah Yomi. We did it recently, Masechas Trumos. According to a lot of Rishonim, there's two mitzvahs by Truma, there's two separate halachas by Truma. One is the hafrasha Truma. You're mafresh the Truma, or you korei shem, you say this is Truma. And then there's the nesinas Truma to the Kohen. When I'm mafresh the Truma, right, so I separate, or even I don't know if to separate, I say this part, the easternmost part of my, pile of grain is Truma. So I've been mafresh Truma, but I haven't given it yet to the Kohen. It's called a hafrasha. It's not called Truma. Truma is where I raise it and give it to a Kohen. So when I'm mafresh the Truma, it becomes Mammon Kohen. It becomes money that belongs to the Kohen, not to me. It belongs to the Shevet HaKohen. If a Zar would eat at that point, it's questionable in my mind whether you be Chayim Mitzvah Shemayim. We know if a Zar eats Truma, you're Chayim Mitzvah Shemayim. But it's called Truma because the real mitzvah of Truma is to give it to a Kohen. It's pick out one Kohen, give it to him, and that's his parnasa from that. And that carries the liability of Mitzvah Shemayim, in my opinion. I discussed that difference between the mitzvah of challah and the mitzvah of truma, but it's called Shumas Halishka, and it's very similar to the mitzvah of truma. So here also, when you donate the machzah shekel is considered mamon hatzibur. That's what I would say. It's mamon, not just mamon hakohen. Truma, when you're mafresh, it's mamon hakohen or the shevet. Here, when everyone brings a matzah shekel, you remove the personal money that belonged to you, and you give it for tzarchei hatzibor. That's what it is, for necessities of the tzibor. People who checked the movement in the Beis Hamikdash, those were services for all of Klal Yisrael. People who taught Hilchos Shchita, those were services because those people did Shchita, they did it for all the Karbanos of Klal Yisrael. So all these things mentioned, Dayanim, service of all of Klal Yisrael, Tzarchei Rab, and that's what the Trumas HaLishka was from. It only became hektish with the word Trumas HaLishka. That's why there's a distinction between Trumas HaLishka, when I take out from the Lishka, and Shairei HaLishka, money that was left over in the Lishka, that could be used for less consecrated purposes. When I take it out, when I do a frasha for a korban, for the korban olah, I merit him that, I raise it, I raise it to a level, now it's hektish, the money has to be used to bring a korban. But if I take out money from that to pay a dayan, to pay a judge, or to pay people who teach Hilchos Shchita or Hilchos Kmitza, so then it did not never reach that level of hektish over there, because if it was hektish, there's no way a person who's a dayan or a person who is teaching Hilchos Shchita or weaving a parochas is able to use that money for their personal needs. They were paid their salary with that. So therefore, there was never, it's machzah shekel, which is originally, when you're mafresh, everyone who was gathered into the Trumas HaLishka, that was just for tzarchei tzibur. It never attained the status of hektish. If I did a truma for a korban olah, for the korban tamid, it became hektish. But if I use it to pay off people's salaries, it never became hektish. It's just tzarchei tzibur, and that's what I can use for the tzarchei tzibur. That's what I'd like to say about today's Gemara. I hope you enjoyed today's shir. I think it's the truth. See you in the next one.